Hi, good evening. My name is Donna Baranier, and I am a grief counselor and a grief coach through our Sacred Journeys. And I am also a hospice chaplain and a grief counselor. So I wanted to talk this evening about grief rituals and what that means, because I think we sometimes forget the sacredness of the grieving response or the grief process. And by sacredness, I mean it's something that is special and unique to all of us. The experience we have of grief is unique to each one of us. And when we think about that, I think it might give us an opportunity to realize that we have an opportunity to grieve the losses we've experienced in our own way. In a way, give ourselves permission to grieve, to feel what we're feeling, to make choices in our world, to find a way to have meaning or make meaning out of what's going on, whether it's the COVID situation right now, or a death of a loved one, or a loss or a shift or a change in our own worlds in some way, whether it's shifting into a new way of living, letting go of something that's no longer serving us, like a belief system or an attitude or a job or relationship, whatever it might be that we're walking through right now. I do believe there's a sacredness to that. And when we can have that opportunity to feel and sense and know that sacredness in a way that is meaningful to us, I have a feeling that we might have a different response to grief. I know for myself, when I'm grieving the death of a loved one, or a shift or a change in my world, whether I have stepped into that shift voluntarily and by choice, or if it's something that is happening that I didn't have any control over, I still have an opportunity to decide how I'm going to experience that and how I'm going to express how I'm feeling. For me, grief is the response to the love I had in my life, if it was the death of a loved one, or it's grief is the response that I'm having to a shift and a change that I'm stepping into in rediscovering who I am, rediscovering that essence of love, of compassion, of peace that's within me. And I encourage us to think about what that means to you and find a way in your own way to step into that in empowerment and embodiment of that truth. Grief rituals. And a grief ritual could be something as simple as lighting a candle in memory of a loved one who's passed. It could be as elaborate as planning an evening or a day of events, remembering our loved one, maybe doing some of the things that they love to do or we love to do with them. It could be something in between, like maybe we write something that is meaningful to us or share our story, maybe in a new way, in a new light or a different perspective. And we might share it with the world. I have had the honor of reading some articles, newsletters, books that people have shared with me through their grief response. I'll never forget one. It was called My Dash, and that's what she called her life journey, because we often think about the birth date and the death date when someone is living and when someone has passed, but the true living happens in that dash. So she titled her autobiography My Dash, and she shared about her life and the things that happened in her world, the things that shaped who she was, whether they were poems or quotes or faith scripture or sacred writings or experiences or people in her lives. There was just a variety in her autobiography. And that was how she embodied and empowered herself to heal and to move forward in her world. So I'm going to encourage us to find what is we are feeling called to do as a ritual. A ritual is something where we bring a ceremony, an activity, first and foremost in our life or in our activity of that moment, and we pay attention to it. We find a way to see this the part that's beyond the physical. It could be, like I said, lighting a candle, writing something. It could be putting together a memory book. Maybe we go through and we have pages in our memory book about things our loved one liked, their favorite hobbies, their favorite car, their favorite foods, pictures of them, pictures with us with them if we have any. We fill it with things that are meaningful to us. Other people use something called a memory box, where they decorate a box. When I used to work with teens, we would create memory boxes where they would bring in a shoebox or something that was important to them or easily accessible, and then we would decorate it. And we had stickers and paint and colored paper, and they could bring their own supplies, whatever it was for them to decorate it and make it unique to them and meaningful to them. Others brought in shadow boxes, or created something out of wood or ceramics or metal, whatever it was that called to them to make this memory box meaningful. Sometimes people put this, or community, others choose to do it individually. So you have a variety of options. Some people like to plant a tree in honor of their loved one, especially if their loved one loved nature. And it's a way to remember them. Or they put a plaque next to it. Or I know someone who decorated the tree at the holidays because it was their way of including their loved one in their celebration of the holidays, was to decorate that tree. Others create something out of ceramics that's unique to them, like a plaque for a bench, or a plaque to put on the ground near maybe a memory garden where they're planting flowers, or their loved one's favorite vegetables, whatever it might be that's unique to them. But they might have a plaque stating what this is in memory of, or why it's there. Others look for books. There's a lot of books out there on grief and loss, on a variety of topics, whether, again, it's the death of a loved one or a change in our world in some other manner. There's Audible, there's Amazon, there's your library area of an opportunity to look for books without paying for them, to see if maybe there's an interest before we buy them. Others look at webinars, TED Talks, YouTube videos. There's so many opportunities out there to watch other things, and we might create a ritual from watching some of those and get an idea of what we want to do. Other people do, or some other websites online as a way for them to process their grief and create something that's ongoing and accessible, whether you live here or in another country, or because of the physical distancing, you can't be together, you're Zooming it together at the same time so you can talk about it. Like I said, writing music, maybe some people want to write a poem or music as a way to honor their loved one. Some of us like to create music or listen to music that's meaningful as we're walking through a new journey in our world. Oftentimes they're what we call group memorials, and right now we can't have those right now, what's happening, so some are choosing to do it over Zoom, while others are choosing to postpone it until there's a time where we can schedule it and have everyone there and together physically. Everyone has a different choice in how they're going to respond to that. Like I said, there are countless ways to do rituals. Someone else might choose to host a tea over Zoom. Maybe their loved one loved to go to afternoon tea at one of the tea houses. So everyone creates a Zoom meeting and they bring their favorite tea and sandwich, or tea and scones, or some other dessert. And they come together and they share memories and talk about how they're doing and talk about their loved one while they're all enjoying afternoon tea. They can't be doing it together, but they're doing it over Zoom. That's another powerful way of creating a ritual that's meaningful to you. Others might write out a ceremony. They might create a prayer, or bring in other aspects of faith tradition into creating their own ceremony, any way to acknowledge their loved one. And we sometimes do those at the time of death, and we sometimes do them in what we call death anniversaries, or an anniversary of a change. For example, I had a friend that passed in 2006. So every year on his death anniversary, I think about him, and I might talk to him. I might light a candle. I do something different every year, but it's a way for me to remember him, honor the relationship that we had, our friendship, at the same time choosing to keep moving forward. I've empowered myself through ritual to feel how I'm feeling, acknowledge it, find the resilience within me to keep going. And that is definitely a gift that I not only give myself, but I give my family and friends and strangers as well. When we can empower ourselves to step into that greater yet to be, we can do it through the power of ritual. We can do it through the power of song or music. All of those are examples of ritual. It gives us an opportunity to feel empowered and move forward. It's that resiliency that I truly believe is within all of us to step forward into whatever it is next for us on our journey here in life, because it is a journey. It is definitely a journey that we're all walking on together, yet individually. I had someone once share a baseball analogy. They said, we're all in the same game, but we're in a different inning, which I thought was kind of cool, because it reminds me that some of us are in our world for a short period of time. Some might be there for a longer period of time. Some might be there for our entire life journey, or a variety of such. And that's the gift that I believe that we have, is that power to choose. So if any of these rituals bring something to you that are meaningful to you, by all means, use them, alter them, change them up, maybe incorporate bits and pieces in them, or they might have sparked something that's unique for you that you want to create. Make it yours. That is the biggest gift we can do for ourselves when we're grieving, is to make it ours, to realize we are rediscovering who we are through the grief process. And ritual is one way to help us work through some of those questions as we come to an understanding. Again, it could be the death of a loved one. It could be a change in our world, a life change. It could be a loss of some kind. It could be a promotion. It could be something we're stepping forward into, an evolution of something. But we're grieving what we're leaving behind. And again, watching tonight, please take care of you. Practice self-care. Ritual is a form of self-care. Take care.